Today we celebrate this feast, this liturgical memory of Our Lady of Lourdes, a great day, but possibly even for those of us who have been to Lourdes several times. The most important part of that extraordinary apparition of Our Lady may escape from us, may be hidden from us. We go to Lourdes and we go to the Marian side, a place of apparition of our Mother, and a place linked to the health of the sick. There are many miracles, many of them officially recognized, but so many miracles there. It is impressive, it is very beautiful. You are moved through the grotto, massive, with the image of the Virgin. There are an angle inside the grotto, the place where she appeared to Saint Bernadette. Everything leads you to ponder yourself and to be close to God and close to the Virgin. But I repeat, all this which is true, the healing of the sick, the beautiful place, which is spectacular, all this can be hide, perhaps the most important thing. And you have to look at how things happen. Bernadette was an adolescent, 14 years old. Well, some say that she was looking after the grotto. Others said that she was looking for something on the bank of the river. The fact is that the lady, who she did not identify at first, appears to her and tells her there to regularly for 15 days to that day to see her. Bernadette, in her innocence, tells the story. Of course, no one believes her, but she complies and goes day after day. This happened. The first apparition occurred on February 11. That is why we celebrate the Feast of Our Lady. But 15 days later, already in the presence of a small crowd, they said there were about 350 people because word of the apparition of the Virgin had spread. 15 days later, once again, the Virgin appears and asks for something strange. Strange, even weird. One might even think offensive. She tells Bernadette that inside the cave, today everything is very well arranged, but back then it was dirt and mud. A place where the winter flood left the water completely flooded, so that inside of the cave she should eat grass. Eat the grass that grows there, as if she was an animal, and drink water, to dig into the ground and drink water. But there was nothing there. There was no fountain. There was nothing. And what does Bernadette do? When she faces an strange thing, she obeys. She started to dig and beginning to drink the merciful water from the wet mud. There was nothing. When she lifted up her head, she found no water. She lifted her head. The witnesses who were there see it. And she lifted up her face, stained with mud. She ate in grass, as she was a sheep, an animal. And she has stained her face with mud. The mud from which we, the first men, were made. People see it and say, this is absurd, this girl. This girl is suggestible, there is no vision. And only then, after Bernadette has made this gesture of faith and humility, only then, suddenly, water begins to flow where there was nothing. The water of Lourdes does not stop coming out and has a measurable flood of 100,000 liters a day. There was nothing. When Bernadette was there was nothing. She believed. She sank her face into the merciful wet mud, obeys the Virgin, and the miracle takes place. But this, which is an act of faith on behalf of Bernadette, an act of extraordinary humility, goes hand in hand with something else. What does the Virgin Mary says her name is? I am. She says it in the language spoken in the Pyrenees, very similar to Spanish. I am the Immaculate Conception. What does this act of humility that she asks for have to do with the invocation with which the Virgin presents herself? She could have presented herself with another invocation, the different names of the Virgin Mary. What do I know? The Virgin, Mount of Carmel, Immaculate Heart. I am the Immaculate Conception. Why? Because the Immaculate Conception will always represent her that way. The dogma of the Immaculate Conception had been approved by the Pope a few years before. The Immaculate Conception is the one that steps on the head of the serpent, the one who steps on the head of Satan. What illness, therefore, is Our Lady wants to cure? Paralysis? I have met paralytic who was cured. Cancer? So many other things. Yes, of course. Truly, there are many miracles, Lord. But what is the illness that Our Lady wants to cure? That of the pride. Because pride is the great sin of Satan. It is the original sin. And pride consists in wanting to be like God. When do we want to be God's? When do we want to remove God from His throne of glory and put ourselves on it? For example, when do we want to be the center of everything? When do we want everyone to refer to us? When do we want others to revolve around us as if we were the sun and there were planets at our service? But we also commit the sin of pride when we do not accept, not understanding, when we ask, when we demand that everything be clear, when we do not accept why God does not listen to our prayers, when we do not accept to have problems, when we do not accept that life goes in ways that are not in our plans, we rebel against God. God does not exist, we say. The great sin of pride, God does not exist. You have knocked God down from His throne, where He has the right to be, to place yourself, your tiny, insignificant reasons. No, in vain, in the French Revolution, Robespierre removed the image of the Blessed Virgin from Notre Dame to place an idol, the idol of the gods of the reason. The Virgin Mary in Lourdes wants to cure us from pride, from the pride of beginning ourselves in the center, from the pride of believing ourselves to be most important, and for the pride of not accepting what we don't understand. I'm not saying that we have to understand absurd things, but there are many things that we do not understand. Some of them, we understand them later. I think that this has happened to all of us. Things that happened we didn't understand at the time. Later, we have clearly understand it was the divine providence at work. Others, we will understand in heaven. Therefore, we have to ask the Blessed Virgin today with this advocation, in this virtue the Saint Bernadette had, the humility of waiting without understanding. In the midst of this pandemic situation, with so many sick, with so many deaths, with the horrible economic crisis that is leaving so many families on the brink of misery, we raise our eyes to God and ask why. And it is not wrong to ask why. But then we say, Lord, I trust in you. Saint Paul, especially in Romans and Galatians, speaks so much about salvation coming to us from faith, because without faith, without accepting that God is God, and that Jesus is the Son of God, without faith, we cannot move to charity, we cannot move to communion with God. Faith, trust in God, acceptance of the divine and the power of God, rejection of pride, of believing ourselves the center, rejection of the pride, of believing that we don't believe what doesn't exist. That is what that 14-year-old girl did, accepting to sink her face in the mud, accepting to eat grass as a sheep ate. Lord, I believed in you. I trust in you. Cure, Lord, my principal sin. Cure, Lord, my worst illness, pride, and help me, if it is your will, with the rest. So be it.